They're 466 cubic inch. Need a little sniffy ether, got her running. Got Casey Hillsong at front flagman and Brian Lane 300-foot flagman. Got the green flag. Here comes Alan Moonwall. Get a thumbs up from the end flagman and the sled operator. We got 2 thumbs up, the sled is set, and he has kept his hook. Pay for them. Make sure you guys are making your way to the scales. Make sure you're making your way to the scales. Up next is Alan Berner. He's from Louisville, Virginia. Calls this white stripe 1066 topsoil. Alan's got the green flag. We have a new leader. Alan put his 1066 out there at 278.94. Sponsors is Newcomers Auto and Truck Parts right down here off of 316, Blue Balls Tire and Wheel Sales, and AAA Towing. Just a reminder that all pay farm tractors to the scales. weekend, 11,000 hot farm class, which is what we're watching right now, was down south. And Kenny Bogner here got second at Harrisonburg, Virginia last weekend. Wagner from Dyke, Virginia, on a tractor he calls Whippin' Red. Distance to beat, 278.94. Right there's your new leader for Kenny. 292.54. 292.54 for Kenny. And that is your new leader. He's ahead of Allen by 4 feet. My apologies, 14 feet. Feel free to check out the Mont Alto Gun Bash. Nathan Hallbaker's down there in his red Ford pickup selling tickets for September the 12th. Next is Tommy Eppert on a tractor he calls Snortin' Horse, Ford 9600 from Standardsville, Virginia. He was the winner last week at Harrisonburg. See if he can put it out there past 292 foot. If you're a Ford fan, this is the one to watch. for Tommy. Big thank you to all our volunteer track help. It takes a lot to put a tractor pull on. You need a lot of volunteers. You need a lot of bodies. Still need Pool Farm to the scales. On Facebook that promotes tractor pulling, mainly interstate truck and tractor pullers, but they do some state tractors and different organizations. So check them out on Facebook. Up next is Mark Lawson on a Ford 8600. He's also from Standardsville, Virginia. Getting backed into the sled. Up next is Keith Griffith Jr. with a tractor he calls Wound Tight. Good old White Stripe International. His dad used to pull way back in the day. His dad pulled Hot Stock and Mont Turbo. Mont Turbo is a class. It's going to be later on tonight. 5-10 years with the Mont Turbo class. Keith Griffith is from Hagerstown, Maryland, just south of Mason-Dixon. Looks like he's staged and ready for a green flag. For Keith, 255 to 92. Had a little slower ground speed. Overall good run for Keith. A couple more sponsors is JM Automotive, Sternham's Motorsports, and Martin's Potato Rolls. Up next is Blake Nicewander. Blake Nicewander with a Ford 9600 for Petersburg. Pretty sure this is Justin Hurst's hot farm. Letting Blake get a little seat time. Blake has a Pro Farm, recent build. Buddy letting him run the hot farm tonight. Blake is from Greencastle, Pennsylvania, just right down the road. For Blake, 286.11. Kept it from going under the turbo. You have one more in this class. Logan Freeze. Logan Freeze has a Ford Blue Fever. Looks like we have 9 in the next class of 10,000 Pro Farm. Logan's backed up into the sled. This tractor comes out of the Forster shop. Good run for Logan Freeze. Distance 285.58 for Logan. Had a little bounce going on. That struggled with this distance a little bit, but overall good run for Logan. Looks like Tommy Eppert is your winner at 3:01.01. Next is Mark Lawson with Ford 8600, 298.02. And Kenny Bogner with Rippin' Red with a distance 292.54. Blake Nicewander fourth, 286.11. Logan Freeze fifth, 285.58. Alan Burr sixth, and Alan Rumal seventh. Looks like they're going to put some weight in the sled, change some gearing around for these big, heavy 10,000 Pro Farm tractors. They are 540 cubic inch, running an A pump with an intercooler. All the tractors in this class are running a box turbo, which means everybody in the class has the same turbo from Weimer Performance. So with the same turbo in the class, you'll have to find horsepower somewhere else. Anthony Hammer with a tractor he calls Beefy from Woodstock, Virginia. Each one of them solid chunks of steel that they're putting in the sled weigh a ton. They might have 4, they might have 3 in the box. As that weight box comes down the track, it puts more pressure down on the pan. Thank you to Forster Farm Equipment for their use of their equipment. Got a nice New Holland skid loader down there. Tractors are ranging anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 horsepower. They are not allowed double cuts. As you see, they're still have to run ag tire, but they're allowed to top cut them, which takes the heel of the cleat off. Got a good father-son duo out there on the track. Anthony the dad and Levi the boy. Got the green flag for Anthony Hammer, tractor he calls Beefy. Good run for Beefy, 3:15.49 for Anthony at 26 miles an hour. Looks like the track's taking power, really went under the turbo. Got 2 thumbs up from Fred and Anthony. Sled is set. This class was started in the early 2000s. Some of them are still pulling today. Next is Bobby Shipe on a Ford he calls Old Blue. Helping him back up into the sled. These guys are all part of Shenandoah boys. You'll see Guy Gokenauer out here later in the Mont Turbo class with stress test. Tighten the chain. Hope everything's okay. I think it just needs a squirt of ether. There she goes. Chain is tight. Here comes Bobby Shipe. Bobby, 382.64. I think it was a little cold when you started mine. Had to wait for it to warm up a little bit. Good run for Bobby. Couple more sponsors is Franklin Tractor and Equipment, your local Kubota dealer, and Rogers Auto Sales, and Hex Diesel Tech, located in Edenville. Austin Heck, the owner of Hex Diesel Tech, will be out with a couple trucks here tonight in the Wild Street Diesel class. Up next is Shane Steed from Woodstock. Shane is a grain farmer. This used to be Jeff King's old tractor, then went to Chris Pangle, Shenandoah Towing, and then Shane Steed bought it off of Chris. So it's been through a couple hands, but he knows how to run it. He calls this tractor Death Vibrations. Getting his 5-point harness strapped in and tight. Got the green flag. Here comes Shane Steed. Good run for Shane. 292.76 for the Death Vibrations. He's the first one to try out that right side of the track. This distance was 292.76 for Shane. Up next is Justin Hurst. Justin Hurst bought this tractor from Gary Cubbage. He calls this tractor the Pennsylvanian. This is a good running Ford. Feeding that old International down in the pit some ether, getting it warmed up. is 40, calls the Pennsylvanian. Distance for Justin, 282.87. 282.87. Had a little bounce there. I may have hurt his distance, but overall good run for Justin Hurst. Up next is a John Deere 4320. Brent Miller from Woodstock. He's a guy who's been running in this class for a good long time. Couldn't ask for a nicer person to talk to. Distance to beat is 3:15.49. Anthony Hamrick with Beefy. John Deere in this class, so if you're a John Deere fan, this is your only hope. Brent Miller. Tough break for Brent Miller on his 4320. Need a tow tractor. Hope everything's okay. Here comes Brandon Kiefer to the rescue.
Hey, they let you have the microphone.
The camera's right there.
Looks like he might try it again. weekend at the Rockingham County Fair. Hope nothing's too major. Let's give him a round of applause as he gets towed off the track here. He drove about 2 hours to come here.
You're on the other side. There you go. Why? Who has the big one? Oh, God. Oh, yes. And they gotta go like...
Here comes the limestone binder. Ivanly Song from Greencastle, PA. Black Stripe 1466. He is currently second in points in the Interstate Pro Farm class. Got fourth down at Harrisonburg last weekend. The last red one in the class. Here comes Limestone Binder. So far in the 10,000 per farm class. Anthony's still the one to beat out there at 3:15.49. With his Ford he calls beefy. Sponsors tonight: American Recycling, Yingling's Auto Service and Repair, and Dave Shockey Auto Body. There's some more sponsors for tonight's Mont Alto tractor pull. If you get a chance, check out Robert Drawbridge on YouTube. He is live. Next is Mark Culbertson on a Ford 9000 that he calls Stitch. This comes out of the Forster shed. Wasn't able to make it to the last pool. Eddie Auker ran it for him down at Harrisonburg. I'm sure he's glad to be back in the seat tonight. Looks like everybody's trying to stay to this left side of the track. and an Alice Chalmers D21. Robertson, 307.08 for Stitch. That puts him in the number 10 spot behind Anthony Hammert. Anthony Hammert 1, Mark Robertson 2, Ivan Hassan 3. So far in the 10,000 for fun class. Still have two good running 10,000 per farm tractors in this class yet. Up next is the Virginian. He is currently number 1 in points. And it is also Matt Smith's 50th birthday. So if you see him, make sure you give him a happy birthday. Sponsors is Dave Shockey Auto Body, T.E. Butts, and D&J Rollback.
He's scared of me, Chelsea, but he's not scared of me. He's not scared of me. Finally, someone is not scared of me and they're scared of you.
Looks like the Virginian's got some smoke underneath of it. This is a good running 9600 Ford. Coming out of the Cubbage shed. Gary Cubbage is currently at Bowling Green, Ohio with his pro stock. Virginian. Calls this tractor the other woman. On the green flag. Here comes Michael Norris on a tractor he calls the other woman. Smith, 296.38. Michael Norris, 6th, 294.24. 7th is Shane Steed. 8th is Justin Hurst with the Pennsylvania at 282.87. And 9th is Brent Miller with his John Deere 4320. Just an FYI, if you guys are going south, Main Street going into Waynesboro is closed past Hess Benedict. If you guys want to take Manheim right there at Twin Kiss and hit Manheim to get back to 81, if it opens up, we'll let you know. Just wanted to put that out there for your information. is the 6200 two-wheel drive truck class. You got a couple options in this class. You can go naturally aspirated, you can go supercharged, or you can go turbo diesel. We'll have 2 diesels in this class. As they're getting the track tuned in for these two-wheel drive trucks. We have Quincy Wayncastle Self-Storage right over the hill here, Stoops Custom Home, and Tom Shockey Collision. A couple sponsors of this Mont Alto Fire Hall tractor pool. These two-wheel drive trucks will get a little noisy here. Small block Chevy supercharged, running on alcohol. They allow 30-inch hitch height, so you'll see these things do wheel stands. They're pretty fun to watch. You want to close your ears though, they're a little noisy. Here comes Rick Wolf, or a truck he calls Wolfpack. He's from East Hampton, Connecticut. If it's your black bag that you've lost, please come to the announcer's booth to pick up your black bag. Sled is set. Rick Wolf is coming back at the end of the class. He has dropped his hook. First puller has the option to drop. We have 6 here, Guy Gluckenauer, 706, back in the pits, going to the scales. He is the current points leader of the Mont class. Something to look forward to as the night goes on. Next is Ian Ericker on a truck he calls the Village Idiots from Poolsville, Maryland. You can really hear that supercharger on that truck. Marshall Battle hooking them up on the tail end of the truck. Tighten the chain. With the Village Idiots going a distance of 3:17.25. 3:17.25. He had that truck wound tight. That's going to be a tough distance to beat in this two-wheel drive class. Sponsors for tonight is the Diesel Shop, Off-Road Recovery, Rob Daywalt's Auto Body, and Erie Signs, a couple sponsors of the Mont Alto Tractor Pull. Big thank you to the Mont Alto Fire Hall for the use of their facilities tonight. All proceeds coming in the gate goes to Mont Alto Fire Hall. Volunteer fire from. Up next is Brian Trout with a truck he calls White Lightning. This is a DT V6 engine in this, International block. You'll see a little black smoke, a little quieter than the trucks previously in the class. We have found a black bag in the porta pots. Come to the announcer's booth if you are missing a black bag. It's got your license in it, your wallet. You might need that before you drive home. Got the green flag. Truck he calls White Lightning. 306.77 was his distance. 306.77. Good run for him. That puts him in the number 2 spot so far in this two-wheel drive class. Sponsors for tonight: Mike Bumball's Garage and Humble Roots Mushroom Farm. Up next is Austin Stoner on his 3rd gen Dodge. He calls a little more than salvaged. They run Forster's used parts behind the Forster shop. And it's got a Ford block in it. These Stoner boys also run in the 4500 small block truck class that we had here at Mont Alto in the spring. They debuted this truck last year at Mont Alto. Still trying to get some bugs figured out. Chambersburg. Good run for Austin, where this truck goes a little more than salvaged. Distance 271.28 for this Dodge. We have 3 more in this class, including the first pole Rick Willis who dropped his first hook. Good run. Big thank you to Allison Sled Rentals for the use of their sled, Darren and his son, Brent. There's a lot that goes on with them sleds to ensure safety for these truck and tractors going down the track. Got a little cold draft coming through here. I hope you brought your sweatshirt. I hear Andy Forster starting up his truck called the Bandit. Truck used to be naturally aspirated, and then they changed it to supercharge. Cool looking truck. This truck comes from Scotland, Pennsylvania, right down the road right off of 997. Wheel stand at the end of his run, 3:16.22. The distance 3:16.22 for Andy. That puts him in the number 2 spots thus far. Ian Ericker is still the one to beat at 3:17.25 with his Chevy he calls the Village Idiots. We have 2 more thus far in this class. John Foley on a truck he calls Blessed. Another sponsor is Wyatt Freeman, Center Cut Lawn Care, for all your lawn care needs. He is from Waynesboro. He does mowing, mulching, trimming, seasonal cleanup, and snow removal. Truck he calls Wolfpack. His first puller, he's coming back at the end of the class. His first distance was 265 and 27. Try to do a little better this time. Check out Hometown Pullers on Facebook for all your tractor pulling information. Melinda Ball and Kendra Henry and Garland Memo. Trying to give as much cool down time for Rick. Wait till the track crew is completely done for him to come out on the track. Don't want to put any excessive stress or wear on his engine. comes Rick Wolf on his truck called Wolfpack. Good run for Rick. This is 277.39. 277.39. Beat his first distance by over 12 feet. So good choice for him to drop his hook. That concludes the 6200 two-wheel drive truck class. First is Ian Ericker on Village Idiots. Second is Andy Forster on the Bandit. Third is Brian on White Lightning. Fourth is John Foley on his truck he calls Blessed. Rick Wolf is fifth, and Austin Stoner is sixth with his truck called Little More Than Salvaged. The next class is the 8500 Mod Turbo class. There is a total of 14 in this class. There was a total of 22 Mod Turbos at the West End County Fair at Lewistown, PA. They're going to be adding a couple slabs of weight in the box of this sled for this class. In this class is Mark Smith on a tractor he calls Double Trouble. Coming out of a cupboard shed. Mark Smith is from Shippensburg. This tractor was originally called Blue Unit, if you follow tractor pulling. Over the years, it's changed a couple owners. Came back to the original owner, and then he changed it to Double Trouble. Check out Forster's Pulling Team on Facebook. There'll be a couple tractors from the Forster shop in the Mod Turbo class, including Jason Forster on the famous tractor Papa Smurf, Scott Kiskadden on Bleeding Blue, and Scott Kiskadden on Bull Ride. Here comes the first tractor in this class. This guy makes some of the best barbecue chicken I think you'll ever have. Smith's Barbecue Chicken. He has them at Lowe's. He stops in at Franklin Feed. He does fundraisers. Here's Mark Smith on Double Trouble. What a hook for Mark Smith. 341.50. 341.50. Is the sled set? They're resetting the sled. They said he went a little too far. So I'll bring the sled back and put a little bit more weight in it. Or they'll change the gearing to make the box go up a little quicker. There's a couple different options for the sled operator. Looks like they're pulling a weight out of the back of the semi-truck. They usually get out what they think they need. These Mont turbos are turning some crazy RPMs. It just takes that much more weight to get them stopped. These tractors are limited on cubic inch and an A pump. Can't run a P pump in this class, gotta run an A pump. Some of these tractors in this class are running over a 5-inch charger, turbocharger as well. Can get double trouble cooled down. It looks like he has 14 tractors until he has to pull again. Get some leaf blowers on it, whatever they can do to get that cooled down. Meanwhile, up next is Vern Zerby on a Case IH sheet metal called Z Unit, and he's from Shamokin, PA. Vern has a couple tractors here. He's got Z Unit, Dr. LZ, and Double OZ. And they all run good. Here comes his first of 3. Here comes Z Unit. We did not get a distance for that tractor. A good run for Vern Zerby. Hopefully we can get this sled figured out.
No!
Did not get a sled setting that's the right reading or not. I think they're discussing at the sled right now. Up next is Tommy Williams from Virginia on his tractor he calls Firestorm. He is a Virginia beef farmer. Beef and crops is his specialty. Tommy's got the green flag. Tough break for Tommy Williams on Firestorm. Need a tow-back tractor for him. A lot of white smoke coming out from under the hood. Could be fuel, could be water, could be a couple different things. Hopefully nothing's too major for Tommy. I'm just getting confirmation that they reset the sled after Vern Zerby on Z-ing it. So we will have the first two tractors, Mark Smith, Double Trouble, and Vern Zerby Z-ing it, coming back at the end of the class for a second hook. Tommy Williams' distance is 48.52. Here comes Guy Guckenauer with a 706 he calls stress test. He's a big grain farmer down in Woodstock, Virginia. And when he's not farming, he's at a tractor pull. He's currently the points leader in the Mod Turbo class. He won at Harrisonburg, Virginia last weekend. See if we can get a qualifying distance in this Mod Turbo class and set the sled. Here comes Guy Guckenauer. 298.08. 298.08 was Guy Gurkenauer's distance. We got two more classes after this Mont Turbo class. We got 8,500 Wild Street diesel trucks and 7,500 farm stock. There is a total of 14 in the Wild Street diesel class. That'd be something cool to watch. Up next is Vern Zerby on a tractor he calls Dr. LZ. Just a reminder, if you're looking for food, the food is down there in the green building. The kitchen is closing at 9, so make sure you get down there before they close, or you're going to ride home with an empty stomach. Vern Zerby. Tough luck for Vern Zerby on Dr. LZ. Distance 200.06. Up next is Steve Beckley on a tractor he calls Up in Smoke from Sharpsburg, Maryland. This tractor's been in the shop most of the year, but when it does come out of the shop, it puts a hurting on this class. So hopefully he does well tonight. here comes Up in Smoke. Tough luck for Steve Beckley. Hopefully he got it shut down in time before the 75-foot mark. He has a second attempt if he did. Looks like they're pulling him back, so they're going to grant him a second hook. Hopefully everything's okay for Steve. Looks like he ain't afraid to try it again here. Got the green flag. Looks like they're going to park him back in the staging area, see if he can figure out what's going on. Hopefully we can see him back out here and make a qualifying pass. We're going to skip the John Deere for now and move on down the line to Logan Smith on a tractor he calls Moody Blue. Luck for Logan Smith. Distance 224.50. Hope nothing's too major for Logan. Just looked like it went under the turbo there. Distance 224.50. 224.50. Up next is Jason Mont, a.k.a. Yankee. He's driving a tractor called WZ. Coming out of Vern's shop. Here comes Yankee on WZ. Cool little wrap on this tractor. Distance for Yankee 286.93. Didn't sound good at the end of the track. Tough break. Let's give him a round of applause. Distance for Yankee 286.93. 286.93. Guy Gokenauer is still in the lead at 298.08. Still half a dozen in the class to go. Matt Smith is up next with Fast Forward. If you see Matt, make sure you wish him a happy 50th birthday. Matt Smith is from Chambersburg. Matt Smith also earns Fast Forward roll-off service. Dumpster bin roll-off service. Make sure you call him for all your roll-off needs. Thank you to all our track help making tonight's event possible. Here comes Matt Smith. Good run from Matt. This distance 275.72. Distance 275.72. Trying to get it started back up. Needs a tow tractor. Up next is Scott Case-Kelton on Bull Ride, coming out of the Forester Pulling Team. Check out them on Facebook. Usually Eddie Arker runs this tractor, but it looks like Scott Case-Kelton's in the seat. This tractor is originally owned and still owned by B.J. Wilkins from Virginia, but the Foresters maintain it and run it and promote it. Tighten the chain. Got the green flag for Scott Case-Kelton, Bull Ride. Good run for Scott Case-Kelton. 275.54. 275.54. Up next is the famous Papa Smurf. Jason Forster in the seat. Family owner of Forster Farm Equipment. They have four New Holland locations. Looks like Macy Case-Kelton running out there to give it an extra sniff of ether. I think Jason got third down at Harrisonburg last weekend. Getting it straightened up, chain tight. Giving it some more ether to get it warmed up. Got the green flag. Jason's distance is 286.74 for Papa Smurf. His distance 286.74. That puts him in the third spot so far. Here comes Adam House. Adam House running the Virginian. The Virginian Mod Turbo Edition. There's the Virginian Pro Farm, the Virginian Mod Turbo, and the Virginian Pro Stock. All coming out of the Cubbage board. Adam works at Weimer's Fuel Injection up near Pittsburgh. He runs down here on the weekends to run the tractor. Chain is tight for the Virginian. For Adam House in the Virginian. That puts him in the number 2 spot behind Guy Guckenauer, 298.08. Foot and a half behind the leader. We got 4 more in this class thus far. comes Scott Kiskaden on Bleeding Bull. They put T6 sheet metal on it there before Keystone this year, revamped the tractor a little bit. Got some decals. This tractor is also coming out of the Forster shop. Your local New Holland dealer. Here comes Scott Kiskaden. Good run for Scott, 287.28. 287.28. That puts him in the third spot thus far. Distance 287.28. Got three more in this class. Jimmy Williams on some assembly required. And then two rebooks, Mark Smith on Double Trouble and Vern Zerby on Z Unit. Here's the last tractor of the class before the two rebooks. Right now, guy to beat is Guy Guggenauer on stress test at 298.08. Distance for Jimmy Williams, 249.09. 249.09. Looks like they can't get the tractor in reverse. Clutch is probably a little hot. Use the sled to pull them back. Unhook him, send him on his way. We got Mark Smith on Double Trouble up next from Shippensburg. See if he can duplicate his first run before the relay. Mark's got the green flag on Double Trouble. Mark Smith. 279.85 was his distance. 279.85. Up next is Burns Irby on Z unit. See if he comes back after the relay. I don't see him down there in the pits, but I like they're hanging behind that Peterbilt. They're firing up in smoke. Gotta get his second attempt. See if Steve figured out anything back in the staging area. John Deere fans, this is your only hope. Right now, ready for the lead. Steve Beckley's distance of 290.21. 290.21. That puts him in number 3rd spot. And that concludes the 8500 Mont Turbo class. I'll get you a rundown here in a minute of the 85 Mont Turbo. Check out Robert Drawbridge on YouTube. Live stream is up and rolling. Rundown for the Mont Turbo class is Guy Gurkenauer, 1st place with 298.08. 2 is Adam House in the Virginian at 296.88. Third is Steve Beckley with a distance of 290.21. Scott Kiskaden is 4th with Bleeding Blue, 287.28. Yankee Double Uzi is 5th with a distance of 286.93. Jason Forster is 6th with Papa Smurf with a distance of 286.74. And 7th is Double Trouble with Mark Smith in the seat with a distance of 279.85. 8th place is Matt Smith with Fast Forward. Scott Kiskaden is 9th place with Blue Ride. 10th place is Jimmy Williams with Some Assembly Required. 11th is Logan Smith on Bleeding Blue. Moody Blue. Vern Zerby is 12th with Dr. LZ. Tommy Williams is 13th with Firestorm. And Vern Zerby is 14th with Z-Unit. That concludes the 8500 Mont Turbo class. Got 2 classes yet tonight. The 8500 Wild Street Diesels. Some of the rowdiest pickups you'll ever see. That they say is still street legal. Is Matthew Heck with Showtime. Looks like this 6.7 Power Stroke just run off the assembly line. Crew cab, long bed. Come out of the Hex Diesel Tech shop. Hex Diesel Tech is also a sponsor of this tractor pull. Looks like they're taking weight out of the sled. 03. We got 2 thumbs up. Matthew kept his hook and the sled is set. Just wanted to let you all know that the road going into Winsboro is still closed. So to get to 81 to go south, you'll have to take Manheim, there by Twin Kiss, and take that to 316, which will take you to 81. Up next is Clifford Damon on his 85 Chevy from Chambersburg. It's a Chevy, but it's got a Cummins in it. Clifford. He had that old truck wound tight. Distance 250.69 for Clifford. 250.69. Up next is Tyler Dawson on his 2nd Gen Dodge called Shoot to Thrill from Martinsburg, West Virginia. bartender with this truck he calls Whistling Dixie from Greencastle with a distance of 270.88. 270.88. Up next is Austin Heck. Another one out of Heck's Diesel Tech shop with a truck he calls Charmaine. He's from Chambersburg. Looks like a second-gen Dodge. Here comes Austin Heck getting that truck wound tight. Run for Austin Heck. Distance 281.74. 281.74. That'll put him in the 2 spot thus far. Looks like we have 9 more in this class. Up next is Trevor Newhart with his truck he calls Old Iron. Truckee calls Saturday night special. Here comes Levi Bummer. Looks like the sled gave him a little left tap. Back it up and try again. See if he can get it wound up just a little more this time. Looks like there's a bunny on the track. Levi's got the green flag. Sounded good, better that time. Levi's distance on the second attempt is 54.50. 54.50. Let's give him a round of applause. Here comes Craig Mills, or the truck he calls Coltrane. Craig got the green flag. Get that turbo spooled up.